Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're getting really granular, focusing on tone shaping with some iconic pedals, the MXR graphic equalizers.
That's right.
We're going deep on the legendary 6-band and 10-band units.
Yeah, these things can look pretty intimidating, right? All those sliders.
Exactly, like a mini mixing console.
But our goal today is really to cut through that complexity, give you a faster way to understand how they developed, from those vintage reference era ones to the modern Dunlop pedals.
And help you figure out which one, if any, actually makes sense for your setup. That's the key takeaway, I think.
Definitely. We're looking at the two main players, the MX108, which became the M108S, that's the 10-band, and the MX109, now the M109S, the 6-band.
Okay, great. So where should we start? Maybe the bigger one, the 10-band.
Sounds good. Let's kick off with the MX108. This beast showed up around, 1976? A part of that original MXR run.
Yeah, reference era, yeah.
And it was immediately obvious why it was different. I mean, just the sheer level of control it offered was kind of nuts for the time.
10 sliders, yeah. But the vintage ones had a real quirk, didn't they? Something about how you powered them.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one. Most pedals back then were, 9-volt battery, maybe a simple DC jack if you were lucky.
Right.
But the original MX108 typically came in that classic blue box.
The blue enclosure.
And it often had a built-in AC power cord.
Wait, hang on. You mean you plugged the pedals straight into a wall socket, like a lamp?
Pretty much, yeah. It took 120 volts AC directly, and it had its own internal transformer and circuitry to generate the voltages it needed. No external adapter, no DC input jack on many of them.
Wow. Okay, that's different. Sounds like a bit of a pain for modern pedal boards.
It definitely was, and probably why those original units didn't have things we expect now, like LEDs on the sliders or even a standard DC jack.
Right.
So if you find an old blue one now, there's a good chance it's been modded. People often add a DC jack, basically bypassing the whole AC section, and maybe put in true bypass and LEDs too.
Makes sense. But players dealt with that power weirdness because the control was just so, granular.
Exactly. That's the payoff. The frequencies on the 10-band cover, like the entire audible spectrum almost. You start way down low at 31.2 hertz.
Subwoofer territory.
Exactly. Yeah. Then 62.5, 125, 250, 500, 1K, 2K, 4K, 8K, and all the way up to 16K hertz.
That's incredibly wide. As for really fine-tuning, I imagine. Not just tone shaping, but maybe fixing room problems.
That's a key application, yeah. You can surgically notch out a weird resonance in a room or tame a boomy pickup in a way it just isn't possible with fewer bands.
Okay, so that's the vintage beast. Then Dunlop takes over, and we get the modern M108 and the current M108S. They kept the precision right. Made it more user-friendly.
Massively more user-friendly. The M108S, the current silver one, brought in some crucial upgrades. Number one, noise reduction. Really important when you've got 10 gain stages you might be boosting.
More bands, more potential noise.
Exactly.
Right.
Second, proper true bypass switching. So when it's off, it's really off, no tone suck. And third, maybe the biggest functional change, they added input and output level sliders.
Okay, so it's not just an EQ anymore. It could be a boost too.
Precisely. You can set your perfect EQ curve, then use the output slider to push your amp harder, or use the input slider to adjust how hard the EQ circuit itself is hit. Adds a whole new layer of utility. Volume, boost, EQ, all in one.
And I've heard the modern ones are built tough.
Oh, yeah. People always say they're like, built like a brick. Well, super rugged aluminum housing.
Gotcha.
And it even has a second output on the M108S. Great for splitting your signal, running stereo rigs, that kind of thing.
Any special versions?
Well, there's the Kerry King's signature, the KFK1. That's basically a customized M108S, uses the 10-band circuit, has the dual outputs just with his tattoo graphics on it.
Okay, cool. So that covers the 10-band pretty well. Let's shift gears to the little brother, the 6-band EQ, the MX109, also from that same mid-late 70s era.
Yeah, showed up around the same time in the catalogs, but it was a totally different animal in terms of design philosophy.
Simpler.
Way simpler. The original MX109, the vintage one. Purely 9-volt battery. That was it. No AC cord nightmare, but also no DC jack input, usually.
Oh, so just batteries.
Just batteries. And no LEDs on the sliders either. Just a box with 6 sliders. really straightforward.
And the frequency range was different too, right? Not trying to cover everything like the 10 band.
Exactly. It was much more focused, centered on the guitar's core frequencies. Roughly 100 hertz up to about 3.2 kilohertz in the original design.
So more about shaping the mids and presents, less about fixing sub bass or adding super high air.
Pretty much. It was about sculpting the main body and punch of the guitar tone, how it sits in a band mix.
Okay, fast forward again to the modern Dunlop era. We get the M109S. They kept that focus, but amped it up.
Yeah, they did. The M109S gives you a huge amount of shaping power.
Yeah.
Plus or minus 18 dB cutter boost on each slider. That's massive.
18 dB.
Yeah.
Wow. You can really carve out mids with that.
Oh, yeah. Perfect for that scooped metal sound. Or for boosting mids to cut through for a solo. The bands are really well chosen for guitar. 100, 200, 400, 800 hertz, then 1.6K and 3.2K hertz.
Covers the main territory.
It does, but the modern M109S added something really clever that the vintage one lacked.
What's that?
They added a high-frequency shelf control. It's not one of the main 6 sliders, but it gives you that same plus minus 18 dB control way up at 16 kilohertz.
Ah, so you do get that air control back, but it's separate from the main mid-shaping bands.
Exactly. It's a brilliant addition, lets you add sparkle or cut harshness without messing up your core tone settings on the 6 main sliders. And like the 10 band, the modern one got true bypass and better noise reduction too.
Now the 6 band, despite being simpler, it's got some serious history behind it. You hear names like Eddie Van Halen, Dimebag Darrell connected to it all the time.
Absolutely. It's kind of legendary because of its simplicity and effectiveness. Those guys, especially Dimebag, really showed how you could create a signature sound with just those 6 bands.
Wasn't Dimebag known for a specific shape, like an upside-down V?
That's the classic Dimebag setting, yeah.
Yeah.
You visualize the sliders, boost the lows like 100 hertz, boost the highs like 3.2 kilohertz, and then scoop the heck out of the mids, usually pulling down 800 hertz the most.
Creating that V shape.
Right. Boosted edges, scoop center. It's a really powerful sound, and it just goes to show you don't always need 10 bands if the 6 you have are in the right places for what you want to do. It's about focused utility.
Okay, this is perfect. This leads right into the big question for anyone listening. Which one do you actually need? When do you reach for the 10 band versus the 6 band?
Right. The practical choice. I think it boils down to granularity versus simplicity and maybe environment.
What do you mean by environment?
Well, think about those lowest frequencies. The 10 band has the 31.2 hertz and 62.5 hertz. The 6 band completely ignores those.
Okay.
If you're mainly playing guitar, maybe doing lid boosts or rhythm scoops, the 6 band is probably fine. It's quicker, easier, smaller footprint on the board. It handles the core guitar frequencies from 100 hertz up perfectly.
So the 6 band is like the performance tool.
Yeah, I'd say so. Great for shaping your tone on the fly, getting signature sounds quickly. But if you run into issues with, say, low-end rumble on stage, maybe the bass drum is making your whole rig boom uncontrollably at around 60 hertz.
Ah, I see. The 6 band can't touch that.
Exactly. It doesn't have a slider down there. The 10 band does. That's where the 10 band becomes more of a problem solver, a corrective tool. It lets you do that surgical EQ cut to fix an environmental acoustic issue, not just shape your instrument's inherent tone.
Okay, that's a really clear distinction. 6 band for performance shaping, 10 band for that, plus potential acoustic problem solving, especially low-end stuff.
That's a good way to put it. Or if you're in the studio and need really, really fine control over every little nuance.
Gotcha. What about the noise factor again? You mentioned the noise reduction. Is the 10 band inherently noisier just because it has more circuits?
Well, in theory, yes. More active filter stages mean more potential points for noise to creep in, especially if you're boosting multiple bands heavily, like pushing adjacent sliders way up.
Right.
That's why those updated noise reduction circuits in the modern M108S and M109S are so important. They really help tame the hiss compared to older versions, letting you use that huge plus minus 18 dB range more effectively.
Good to know. Okay, last big practical point. Signal chain placement. Where do these things usually go?
Generally, most players put graphic EQs like these towards the end of their signal chain.
After drives, mods, delays.
Yeah. The idea is you get your core sound shaped by your drives and fuzzes, add your modulation and time effects, and then use the EQ as a final polish, a final tone sculpting tool just before the signal hits your amp or maybe in the amp's effects loop.
Thus it's tweaking the overall sound, not the raw guitar signal going into the other pedals.
Exactly. It's like the master EQ for your pedal board sound.
Makes sense. And a quick final word for anyone hunting down those cool vintage blue boxes. Analog sliders don't last forever.
Oh, definitely not. That's the main thing to watch out for with vintage units. Slider pots get dirty, worn out, They can get scratchy when you move them, or maybe one side of the stereo image, if you were using it that way, might be liquor. Component drift over decades is real.
So, buyer beware on the vintage market. Factor in potential maintenance.
Absolutely. Part of the charm and the cost of vintage gear.
Okay, this has been super helpful. We've traced the path from those quirky AC-powered vintage boxes to the modern, robust, DC-powered Dunlop units with true bypass and level controls.
Yeah.
And we've clarified that core choice.
Hmm.
The 10-band for maximum surgical control,
Yeah.
especially fixing low-end issues, versus the 6-band for focused, powerful, easy-to-dial-in performance shaping.
Right. And remember that plus maximum 18 dB range on the modern ones is serious power.
Definitely. Now, before we wrap up, any final provocative thought for people listening, maybe something to experiment with?
Yeah, actually, think about that highest frequency band, 16 kilohertz. It's on the 10 band, and the modern 6 band has that dedicated shelf for it,
Okay.
the air band. Exactly. It's so high up, it contains very little actual musical note information. It's more about texture, perceived brightness, and space. So here's the experiment. Dial in a sound you like. Then only touch that 16 kilohertz slider or shelf. Make tiny boosts, tiny cuts. Listen really closely to how it changes the feeling of the sound. Does it feel more open, more brittle, more polished, more distant?
So it's less about changing the tone and more about changing the perceived quality or texture.
Precisely. It's almost a psychoacoustic effect. It's one of those subtle things mastering engineers obsess over, and these pedals put that control right at your feet. Understanding what that very top end does, even with tiny adjustments, can really elevate how you think about shaping a professional-sounding guitar tone. It's beyond just bass, mids, and treble.
That's a great takeaway. Go beyond the obvious bands and explore the edges. Fantastic stuff.